Welcome class back to Chapter 8 Functions. This is the final video for Chapter 8 where we'll cover the last objective starting with passing an arbitrary number of arguments, mixing positional and arbitrary arguments, using arbitrary keywords, sorting your functions, importing entire modules, importing specific functions, using as to give a function or a module an alias, importing all functions in a module, and styling functions. So working on page 147, we start our discussion about passing an arbitrary number of arguments. So sometimes we just don't know how many arguments are going to come our way when defining a function, and so Python gives us the opportunity to use an asterisk along with the name of the parameter, and then we can send as many values to that particular parameter, and it will simply create a tuple. In this case, it creates a tuple called toppings and then packs the values into it. So we have two function calls here, one that's going to send along one topping and one that's going to send along three toppings. So here it is in Sublime. And notice the syntax when we get back, printing out toppings, that we have the parentheses, and if you remember back, that's the syntax for tuples. Mixing positional and arbitrary arguments. So in this example, we have a positional argument called size, as well as an arbitrary argument or parameter called toppings. So when we do the function calls here, we call make pizza. That's our function name. We send it along a numeric value for size and then the number of toppings that we need to include. So let's go ahead and modify this example to include this. So our positional argument of size, and then I think this one was 16. Yep, 16. And then this one was 12. And we need to go ahead and change the value here of the print. So the print is making a size inch pizza with the following toppings. So in order to run through all of our toppings, we need to have a for statement. So we'll incorporate that as well. So making a 16-inch pizza, bringing in our size with the following toppings. So using our for again to iterate through our arbitrary parameter of toppings. And then the result is the next one with our 3. Alright, so whenever you're sending that arbitrary number of arguments, make sure that you use a for statement to go ahead and iterate through those values that are then sent with. So that's positional and arbitrary arguments. Use an arbitrary keyword argument. So sometimes you'll want to accept an arbitrary number of arguments, but you won't know ahead of time what kind of information will be passed to the function, just like it was with the arbitrary positional type of arguments. You can write functions that accept as many key value pairs as calling statements provide. So this example is going to lead us to user profiles. So user profile, we have always a first and a last name, but the amount of user information that the user provides to us might be different every time this function is then called. So with this one, location and field are going to be sent along, but the next time it might be 4 other separate fields, okay? Or maybe these two repeated with one additional field. Okay, so this one builds our location. Okay, and this is just returning user info. So let's just kind of step through this before we look at the output. So build profile sends along Albert to first, Einstein to last, and then again that arbitrary keyword. We have location of Princeton, field of physics. So we assign first to user info, okay, first, okay, so we're building a dictionary. So dictionary down here, we got the syntax of the curly braces. So dictionary user info, actually we're building the dictionary through user profile. Here we're building the keys. So user info, first name, last name, and then we have the automatic thing is this user info is actually built with location and field being set. So location and field are automatically built, and then these two had to be built by populating first and last because these weren't part of creating the dictionary. So user profile, our results are location first, and then the field, then first name and last name. And the reason again is because these two were automatically created for user info first when we called, and then we built these two keys within the definition of the function. If we didn't have these two keys, let's just say we commented those out. Oh, I thought that was going to do that. We would only get location and field back. Okay, because again, those are automatic. You need to add more. You can go ahead and build the keys and then assign the values. So if we wanted to do another example of this, we could copy all this information. Okay, and let's just say we just build me. Okay, so my location, Bismarck State College. Field, we'll just put in computers. Okay, if I had another field here, years. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to put those in quotes. Years equal, and then let's just say we'll go 20. So now I have another arbitrary keyword of years with a value of 20 assigned to it. So now we have location, field, years, and then first name and last name, again being built in the function. Storing your functions and modules. Now this isn't anything new to you because you've been coding Alien Invasion and you've been seeing these import statements, but we'll get into a little bit more detail of actually how they actually work. So one advantage of functions is the way they separate blocks of code. You can use descriptive names for your functions, but then you can also take those functions and store them in separate files called modules. And those modules maybe have 3 or 4 functions stored in them, but they have a specific purpose of how they function for that particular program. Just like in Alien Invasion, we have a bullets file that is just for how the bullets behave, or ship, or settings, for example. So an import statement tells Python to make the code in that module available in the currently running program file. Knowing how to import functions allows you to use libraries maybe that other programmers have written for us. So our first example here is just a simple import, and it's import pizza. Okay, so it imports every function from that module. So pizza.py, every function is now imported. It's important to know that when we use this type of syntax, we then need to preface the function name with the actual module name too. So you'll see here it says pizza.makePizza. Well, makePizza is the function, but the module that it came from was pizza. So when we use this syntax, without specifying function names following it, we must preface this with the actual module name before the function name. So let's take a look at this example on page 151. So we're going to take our code from making pizzas. Actually, I think it's already there. We'll just modify these statements here. We're going to take these statements, cut them out, so that our module only holds just the function. And then in making pizzas, we're going to import our pizza module. And then our two function calls will be there as well. So if we save this, and this is like running Alien Invasion because that's the file that it has all the imports in it. So we build this. See here, oh, I didn't do it correctly. I got to put my module name in front of this, just as I was talking about. Okay, so it says name make pizza is not defined. So now when we do it, it knows that it needs to go to this module to find this function. Okay, moving on to this, then another way that we can go ahead and import functions from a module. We can use a specific function. So module name, so from pizza, import make underscore pizza. Okay, just right here, from pizza, import make underscore pizza. Okay, so now it's just not just the import, we are importing just that function name, but where is it coming from? What module is it coming from? So we go ahead and modify making pizzas to reflect this. So from pizza, now pizza matches up to pizza.py, okay? Import, the function name is make pizza, and no longer do we need to have the module name in front. We can just use the function name because we are importing just that function into this file. It's like we just made a physical copy of the function make pizza and brought it into making underscore pizzas. Using as to give a function an alias. So from pizza, so pizza.py, import the function make pizza, but now let's refer to it as mp instead of make underscore pizza. So in my example here, I would use as, so giving it an alias, and so instead of typing make pizza, I can type mp, and the same thing here, mp. Alright, so giving an alias to the function name. Using as to give a module an alias. So if I do back to the very first example where I import pizza, I can give the module an alias. So let's revert back to that. So import pizza. And now I'm going to refer to, so remember when we do just an import, it's grabbing all the functions from that module. So import pizza as p. So now when I use my syntax, I refer to the module as p, and then I bring in the name of the function. Okay, and again, same results. Import all functions in a module, so I want to bring them all in, but I don't want to have to use that module name in front of the function name. So from pizza, import all of my functions. Import all functions. And now I'm back to that same simple syntax of just using the name of my functions. So when you're working through these imports, you got to make sure that you understand which one you're trying to do. So let's just jump back. This one was importing all functions from the module pizza.py. Again, we had to preface before the function name, the actual module name in this syntax. Then when we did a specific function, okay, from pizza.py, import just that function, then we didn't have to preface anything, we could just call it by function name. Here's giving an alias to that function name, so maybe it's something really long and you just want to call it something else in the code. And then import pizza as p, this is working with just the module, giving the module another name, so using it as a preface there. And then same thing, or here now we're importing all of the functions, copy all of them into that module. So when we use that, just a reminder, you don't have to put the module name out in front. Okay, then we look at styling functions. So how do we code in a neat, organized way? So PEP 8 gives us these guidelines. So function names and modules too should be descriptive and should use lowercase letters and underscores. Okay, so when you're working with creating a function, such as make_pizza, that's what we're talking about. Descriptive and should use lowercase letters and underscores. Every function should contain a comment explaining concisely what the function does, should be the first statement in the function, and in docstring format. So looking here, we have a descriptive line in docstring format that tells us exactly what this function is going to do. If you specify a default value for a parameter, no spaces should be used on either side of the equal sign. Same conversion for keyword arguments. So if we had a default value here, okay, maybe it's crust, okay, and crust is going to be thick. Okay, so no spaces on either side of this equal sign. Okay, so just bringing the code tightly together. PEP 8 limits line of code to 79 characters. So in Sublime, we can go to the View menu and we can go to Word Wrap Column and we can actually make this 78. And if I had more than 78 characters, it would go ahead and wrap it for me. Okay, and that's how you can go ahead and make sure that you don't go past that column line. If a set of parameters causes a function's definition to be longer than the 79 characters, this is a great way to format it. So def space, the function names, open the parameters with the parenthesis, and then space these on separate lines. And then parenthesis, and then your colon, and then go ahead and specify the function body. Separate functions by 2 blank lines. So not quite sure if we've been doing that in Alien Invasion, but that's something we should go ahead and revise to. So let me go ahead and open up my Alien Invasion. So here, let's just open up Alien Invasion. So in between these definitions, there should be 2 blank lines. Okay, creates great readability that way. All import statements at the beginning of the file. So always up here that we have our import statements. So if we look at these, import sys means that we're importing all of those functions from sys. Okay, and that exits the game. So let's see if we can find where sys is used in here. And look at that. It's preface or prefix to the function exit. So the syntax that we just went over. Import Pygame. Well, here we go. We got Pygame in front of functions that we're working with. From settings, import settings. So from the settings file, let's import the class of settings. And these are a little different. We'll cover classes here in chapter 9. Comments before import statements. Okay, so any comments that we have up here, we want, or any comments that we're going to have in our file, we want to make sure that they're up before our import statements. That is your chapter 8. So let's look at the last labs for chapter 8. So starting on page 150, Lab 8-14. Write a function that stores information about a car in a dictionary. The function should always receive a manufacturer and a model name. It should then accept an arbitrary number of keyword arguments. Call the function with the required information and two other name value pairs, such as color or an optional feature. So here's an example of a function call. Okay, so make car. There we've got our manufacturer and our model name, Subaru and Outback, and then our arbitrary number of keyword arguments are following. Okay, so print the dictionary that returned to make sure all the information was stored correctly. So the car dictionary in this case, so this one just has a requirement of one function call. If you want to do more than one, you're certainly welcome to do that. Then 8-16. Using a program you wrote that has one function in it, okay, store that function in a separate file and then import the function into your main program file and call the function using each of these approaches. So you're going to do import module name, and I know this is going against some of these styling function guidelines that we just went over, but you'll go import module name, and then following that import statement right away, I want you to do the call that would use the syntax for import module name. And then from module name, import function name, then you're going to do a call after that, and then just continuing down the line. So you're going to have 5 function calls following each one, or 5 separate function calls, each of them following these separate import statements. If you have any questions on that, please let me know, or any other ones in Chapter 8. Please send them to me. Thank you.